Green paper out. This is what we did yesterday.
Alright, Jonathan's not here and Nate. Is that only 2 chairs I have open? I know, but not in my room.
Let's focus on this. You should have your super starter paper out, your green paper. Telling me times 2, you can't do it times 3. That means it's bigger than 12.
I put up pencils and pencils and we're giving out pencils and I don't have any more pencils. They need to sit down and get out of this way. I'll give you $1, okay? No, yes, please.
I was like, that 100
It's the, what's called today?
Where's your super starter paper?
We'll do some more.
And then a 5 or a 0 so what can go into it.
So I got the summative at 60%. I had somebody in my class that had a 99 average. They made a 90 on their summative, and it brought their average down to 93. Well, that summative is so weighted at 60%. So, I mean, it's a lot. So that's all I got to make sure that we do extremely well on those.
Can be reduced. Where's that number? 5? Because that's got a 1 hole. You don't have any holes. There's nothing else. So 7 times 2 is 34. And 10 times 2 is 100. I didn't make it with those. I stopped on that first one. I haven't taken them out yet. Okay, so this one out here is 50. Now what's 34 divided by 2? I'll get these. Half. And then reduce. And don't forget about your whole number up there. So 7 times 2 is 34. These 7 times 2 is 14. There we go. Now that's right. I did it right there. Look, I have to go back. What's this? Oh, that's an 8 over 10. 8's not in the 10's place. Alright, let's check these. Now holler now. Now holler now. Alright, this is what we did yesterday, just what you had more practice on. We're changing decimals to fractions. My 34, my 4 is in the what place value? What? The 100. So my 34 goes over 100. Can I leave it like this? No. What do I have to do? I have to divide. What do we see that will come out of both 34 and 100? 2. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Y'all told me 34 divided by 2 was 17. 100 divided by 2 is 50. Is there anything in common between 17 and 50?
No.
No. I am done. That's what we were looking for. Questions on that one? We're good? All right. Number 2, 5 and 4500ths. What do I do with my 5, my whole number? Bring it straight down because it's going to be a whole number in my answer. Now what do I do with my decimal 45? Put it over 100. Why did we put it over 100? The 5 is in the hundredths place, so it goes over 100. What's the other way we told you if you don't know your place values to figure out what goes on the bottom? Count how many spaces are behind the decimal. 1, 2, so I should have 1, 2 zeros in my denominator. If you don't know your place value, there's your other way. Now, do I need to simplify my whole number? Can I simplify my fractions? Yes, I'm going to bring my whole number straight down. What's in common between 45 and 100? 5. Divide by 5, divide by 5. What times 5 is 45? 9. What times 5 is 100? Anything in common between 9 and 20?
So
That's our final answer.
Mr. Martin, so all you do is just write the problem and see what it goes into and just keep the whole number.
You always keep the whole number, then you're going to do
Abby,
the same
you're not
thing
bringing
with
back
just
your
this
passport?
as you did with this. And then you just make sure you simplify. Is anybody still confused by how we're getting these numbers right here when I ask if they have something in common? Everybody's good with where we're getting those numbers from? Okay. Alright, and what am I going to do with my 1 and my 1 and 800s? Bring it straight down. What's my fraction going to be? 8 over 100. Why is it 8 over 100 and not 8 over 10? The 8's in the hundreds place, or 2 numbers behind the decimal, 2 zeros in my denominator. So, how do I reduce 8 over 100? Okay. Divide by 2, divide by 2. I will get 4 over 50. What do I notice about that though? I can take another 2 out because they're both what? Even. Because something times 2 gives me 4, and something times 2 gives me 50. They're both even numbers. Even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. If the last number is one of these, 2 will go in it every single time. So I've got a 4 right there and a 0 right there. So I can take a 2 out every single time my number ends in one of those 2 numbers. So that's 4 divided by 2 is 2. 50 divided by 2 is 25. Don't forget your whole number. I saw several people that reduced their fractions down to 2 over 25 and then left their whole number off. Big difference in 2 25ths and 1 whole and 2 25ths. That's the answer. Now, the reason we had to do it twice is because what is 2 times 2? 4. We could have taken a 4 out of both 8 and 100. We just chose a common factor instead of the greatest common factor. Only difference. Can you do it this way every single time and it worked? Yes. But when you get here, you have to look at it again and don't just stop because you've done it one time. Make sense? Questions? Alright, put your super starters away.
And get out your sheet from yesterday. A lot of you finished the A's in class and you may have had a check. We're going to go over it today. Before we leave, we're going to have a checkpoint to make sure that you understand decimals to fractions and fractions to decimals. So this will be your time to ask questions. Your little checkpoint has about 10 of each, so I don't want to take up all of the remaining 30 minutes to go over that sheet. But we're going to look at a couple of them. We're actually just going to call out the answers. You look at yours. If you have it correct, you're good. If you got it wrong, raise your hand and let us know. That way we can see what you might have missed, rework it. I know some of the numbers were a little larger.
What paper?
Paper you got?
Alright, so we're going to look at the side that starts off with just the decimals. The very first 1/8 is 51/100. So your one that says A is 51/100.
I'm done with that.
Alright, so we're going to go over the answers. If you have it right, good. If you don't have it right, raise your hand and say, can we please work it? I don't understand. I just want to do it real quick. That way if there is a problem, we can work it out. And then we'll give you this check point because this check point's going to go both ways. Fraction to decimals and decimals to fractions.
Which we will review that again in just a second before you take it.
Alright, 1/8, 51/100. That one cannot be reduced. So you just leave it 51/100.
Make sure you're on the right side. The hole should be on the right-hand side.
Alright, number 2, 33/100. Again, that one cannot be reduced. The only thing that 3 has is 3 and 11, and either one of those would go into the 100, or 3 and 1 and 33. 3A, 97/100. Cannot be reduced. 4A, 53/100. Could not be reduced. 5A, 4/5. That one could be reduced. Because you started out with 8/10. You could have reduced it by 4, or we could have reduced it by 2. Alright,
If you're getting
so
these, shoot your hand up now so we can work it out. If you don't see it, ask.
did everybody get it right? Or I know there's some that didn't, or is it because you didn't know how to reduce it?
We have a question on 5A, which is 0.8. My 8 is in the what place? Tens place. I can check that by counting how many digits are behind the decimal, and that's how many zeros need to be in my denominator. What does 8 and 10 have in common? 2. Again, does everybody know what we're looking for when we say do they have anything in common? Everybody's good. Okay. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 4/5 should be your answer. See what you did?
If you had it over 100, and I saw 1 or 2 that did that, be very careful. The number behind the decimal, that's like our change. So that the number behind the decimal becomes our numerator. And like Mr. Martin has on the line, there's only how many numbers behind that decimal? 1. So that means there's only how many zeros when we put it down? Just 1. And if you read that out loud, how do you read that decimal number? No, you don't. Read it.
8
Tenths.
How do you read this fraction? 8 tenths. It's the same.
Alright, 6A, you had 45/100, but that reduced down to 9/20. 45/100 would reduce down to 9/20. Now, if you have a number that has a 5 and a 0, they can always be reduced by 5. That's your divisibility rule. So you saw 45/100, one ended in a 5, one ended in 0, automatically you can divide those both by 5. And you got 9/20. 7A, 18/25. Originally you had 72/100, it reduced down to 18/25.
Well, I got 150.
I don't know where you got 150 from.
All right, let's look at that one.
Wait, what she said? 18.
We had a couple questions on this one. What did we start off with? 0.72. Okay? And when I write this as a fraction, Michael, what am I going to get? 72/100. Now, what do you see right off the bat that you know you can use? You see 2 because this is an even number, this is an even number. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Now, I don't know what half of 72 is in my head. I don't know. So I would have to come over here and I would have to divide it out. 2 will go into 7 3 times, that's 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down by 2. 2 will go into 12 6 times, that is 12. So it's times 36. The only way you got 1 up here was you said something times 72 equals 72 and something times 72 equals 100. Because whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. And the only way you got a 1 on top was to say 72 divided by 72 is 1.
That's right.
Well, if you do 72 on the top, you also have to do 72 on the bottom, and nothing times 72 equals 100. But let's finish up our problem and see. Let's finish up our problem and see. What's half of 100? 100 divided by 2. Now, look at this fraction. What do you notice again? They're both even, which means it can reduce. Gage, you have a question? You need to ask a neighbor to borrow one because all of ours are gone. All right, we're dividing by 2. What's half of 36? 18, okay. If you didn't know that, what do you need to do? Come over here to the side and divide it out. What's half of 50? 25. Is there anything that 18 and 25 have in common? No. That is it. 18 over 25 is my final answer. See? Okay. Any other questions on that one?
Alright, moving on. 8A, 89 over 100. That one could not be reduced, so you just left it alone. 9A, 23 over 100. Again, nothing can reduce it, so we left it alone. And the last one is 81 over 100. 81 is only 1 and 81 and 99. None of that goes into 100. So you leave it as 81 over 100. Which one?
Raise your hand if you got a question.
9 is 23 over 100. Alright, Gage. Questions on this side? Alright, we're real quickly going to go over the other side. The other side had the whole numbers. If it was a whole number in your decimal, it's going to be a whole number in your fraction. Alright, raise your hand if you missed it and need to see it worked out. If you're good, let's move on so we'll have a good bit of time to finish up our little checkpoint.
Alright, who got an answer for 1A? What'd you get, Latoria? What's your whole number? So it should be good. It should be 4 and 37 over 50. That is correct. We got 2. Hey, what'd you get for 2? Shouldn't be 7/25. What did you divide by? Why did you have half of 26 isn't 14? That's where you messed up. Who else got an answer for number 2? What'd you get, Emily? 7 and 13/50. Half of 26 is 13. That's where you messed up at. Alright, who got an answer for 3? Shelby. 8 and 37/50. 37 over 50. Michael, number 4.
7 over 1/2.
No, 7 and 1/2. Yes. 7 and 1 over 2. I don't see any hands, so I'm assuming we got it. There you go. That's awesome.
What number we on?
Alright, let's stop for a second. We had 15 over 2. Or we had 7.5. 7 would drop straight down. The 5 is over. What place is this? The 10. They end in a 5 and a 0, so what can I divide by? 5. Now I can't do 2 because this is not an even number. Divide by 5. 5 will go into 5 one time, 5 will go into 10 two times. 7 and 1/2. Number 5, who's got an answer for that one?
Me.
Zai. Do what?
What's your fraction?
Help me about. 5 and 67 100ths. 67 over 100. Jakian, number 6. 7 and 11 50ths. Question? On which one? We're on 6 now. 5/8 is 67 over 100. All right, the next one, number 7. Who's got me an answer? Susanna. 5 and 11 over 100. Number 8, Gage. 3 and 2/5. Number 9, Ashley. I think you just can't read your eyes. That's 50s. 1 and 29 50ths. And number 10, last one. Somebody hadn't caught on yet. Tadavia. 8 and 22 25ths. Anybody have questions on going from decimals to fractions? We're all good. All right, just a quick little reminder about going from fractions to decimals. I'm going to work 2 problems, one with a whole number and one without. Just to give you a refresher. If you're good with that, make sure you put it up, everything off your desk while I review this. Let's say we have 7. Let's do some more stuff.
That's easy. Keep that one on.
Let's do 12s. And then we're going to do 3 and 3 and 6/7. All right, so how do I solve? How do I turn my fraction into a decimal, Gage?
Or you put divide 7 by 12.
You divide. Which number always is your dividend or goes inside the house? Top number, the numerator, always goes inside. Now, do I have a decimal yet? No. Where is it? Behind the 7, and it goes straight up into your answer. 12 will go into 7 0 times. Add a 0. 12 will go into 7D
6 times. 5.
5 times, because 12 times 6 would have been 72, and that's too much. So 12 times 5 is 60, and I get 10. Add a 0, bring it down. 12 into 100. 8 times. What is 12 times 8? 96. You would have gotten 4 after we borrowed. 0. Bring it down. 12 into 40. 3 times. That'll be 36. I get 4 again. Now it's going to start repeating. So what specifically number is going to repeat? Just the 3. So when you write your answer, your bar notation will be just over the 3. Or if you did it like I did twice with 2 3s, you could put it over that. Sir.
Why we going over there?
Okay, I'll send you.
Test on the other.
Thanks.
Because she said there's gonna be 10 problems going from a decimal to a fraction, and 10 problems going from a fraction to a decimal. So I'm just, since we did decimals to fractions earlier, I'm just going back from fractions to decimals just to remind you. We're asking you to do it both ways. All right, on this one, you can do this one of two ways. One of two ways. How can we do it?
3 times 7 is
I can make it an improper fraction,
27.
times
21.
and plus. 7 times 3 is 21 over, or plus 6 is 27 over 7. What's the other way I could have done it? Anybody remember? Okay, well, let's work it out this way, and I'll tell you at the end. Since we don't see it, I don't really need to waste my time on it. So, once I get it to improper, now what do?
Put top of the inside.
Same thing I just did here, because I have a fraction. Numerator goes inside.
3.
7 will go into 27. My decimal's behind the 7 and come straight up. 3 times.
21.
That's 21. I have a 3 as a whole number, and a 3 as a whole number.
6.
That'll be 6,
Drop 0.
0, and drop it down.
10.
7 times 8,
56.
56.
4.
That's going to give me 4.
Drop 0.
Drop the 0.
5.
5. That's going to be
35.
5.
5. Drop 0.
Alright, I'm running out of room, so I'm just going to slide it over here. Drop the 0 down. I end up with 50. 7 will go into 50. What's 7 times 7? 49. That's closer than 7 times 6, 42.
1. Drop a 0.
Add another 0 down.
1.
1 time.
7. 3. Drop a 0.
Is this one right here right now is just keeping going, yes. Eventually it'll stop, but y'all got the process for it. I just made that number up, so I didn't know if it would work out evenly. But yes, you would keep going. You're not going to have one that goes that far on your quiz. But y'all do understand at least you do keep going, so I see the process. The other way, do what?
Didn't you
Whenever we do it, to do it the other way, I wasn't going to go into it since none of y'all saw it, but to do it the other way, you just drop your 3 down into your answer, and you just worry about the fraction. 6 divided by 7. And whatever you get here behind your decimal will go here behind your decimal in your answer. Just make smaller numbers. So any questions on going from a fraction to a decimal before you start your little checkpoint?
Can you leave an example on the board?
Yeah. Can you please?
Because I forget.
We answer questions for you. You shouldn't need it. Yes, ma'am. Doing it the other way. If I would have had 3 2/3, I drop my 3, my whole number 3, straight down into my answer, and then I only worry about this, 2 divided by 3, and that's going to give me a number behind my decimal. Whatever I get my number behind my decimal, I just put in my answer here.
Mr. Martin,
So instead of doing 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2 and having a bigger number in here, I just drop this straight down because I know I'm going to get in my answer. Only worry about the fraction.
All right, so turn it over, put your name on it. Here's what's happening. Since we're short on time because we didn't start our start till later, I'm grading 11 through 20. That's the decimal to fraction, but we haven't had a grade on that part yet. So 11 through 20 is what I'm grading. If you have time and you do any of the 1 through 10 and get it right, I'll give you plus 1 point. So you have the option of 110.
All right, time out. Let's start over. Right side is what we're grading. That's 10 problems. So they count 10 points each. Okay? Now, for if you get done with those have to be done first. If you get done with those, and you want to work some on the left side, you will get a bonus point for every one on the left side you get right. So that's 10 problems, that's up to 10 bonus points. Which means you can make 110, or if you miss one on the right side and you get them all right on the left side, you still make 100. So go ahead and get started. We're running low on time.
Alright, so 11 through 20 is graded, 1 through 10 is extra.
11 through 10 first. 11 through 20 first. Yeah, you can scratch paper. If you want scratch paper, you can absolutely get it out, just write your answers on there, but you've got to turn your scratch paper in with your work. Don't forget to reduce. If you want to, yes, you can use the back. If you have a question, please just raise your hand. Don't open your mouth because some people are trying to focus.
Yours?
Yes. Ma'am. Good. Make sure your name's on the paper, too.
Sometimes that happens when you generate them from the computer.
Just get the same out. Did one right. Make sure I have one right before I put my into another.
You got the same.
Let's go ahead and address this because I've already had about 5 people tell me. There are the same problem on there multiple times, which means you should get the same answer on every one of them. But I would make sure, before I just copied my answers down on the ones that are the same, I got that first one right. Because if you did that first one wrong, and you copy it down on the times that it repeats, they're all going to be wrong. So I would make sure I double check that one at least one extra time to make sure I've got that one right. Like you normally did, like you normally would. Individual student. And then make sure you select groups for students. others, active classes, and maybe it will. If I was doing this and I just wanted to do one, I'd probably go back to the book act. Yeah, go back to click on the book bag for that class. Click on their name. Click on your class or click on your average. There will be your progress report.
That works. All right, thank you.
You get all the ones on the right done before you start on the ones on the left. Do all the others. This one needs the name. This one has the name. Well, you know, those are all numbers that the What? Start there. I'm not saying that's going to be the biggest one. You may have to reduce again, but somewhere to start.
That's not good.
If you get it finished, just turn it face down and sit quietly. We'll take it up. We'll take everybody's up all at once in just a few minutes.
Here earlier.
Those of you still working, you got about 3 minutes.
Please try to do some of
Get
the
the
extra
right
credit ones
side
at least.
done first. If it was reduced, then you have to reduce it. They end in a 5 and a 0, so what can go into any number that ends in a 5 or 0? You have to reduce it. No, I don't know what you come up with. When the bell rings, just sit tight. You can get your stuff together. We'll come by and pick up your paper. After we have your paper, then you can go. You've got scratch work, make sure you turn it in with it. Bless you. If you didn't get finished with the right side, whenever we ask you for it, let us know. Finish the right side. Did finish the right side. If you did not finish the right side, when we come to get it, let us know. I'm not worried about the left.
Who are you? You always start on
For the right side, yeah. Well, which one do you get the answer to him ain't gonna work at the math,
Scratch for the baby.
so you're not gonna get credit for that one anyway. I will be getting the rest of that apology.
Hang on, baby, let me pull this up. I'll be right there.